Welcome back to Life Coaching with Alex Urbina, right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Hanging out in studio with my board op, Andrew Delgado. We're talking about 10 quotes for millennials entering the workforce. And the intention is really to inspire some of the millennials to be leaders. And last couple of segments, we've gone over, I think, two quotes per segment. And I want to jump into number 5. Number 5 is by Margaret Drabble. And here's the quote. When nothing is sure, everything is possible. When nothing is sure, everything is possible. What does that mean?
And I just love that. And pretty much endless possibilities. There is no definitive no or yes. Like, there's no sure thing in life, which means there's always possibility that it can get done.
Okay.
Or you can do it.
So why in moments when we have a tragic moment in front of us or catastrophe or some big event where we start to panic, we think in that moment unconsciously that, oh my God, this is the only way it could be. Oh my God, look what happened. Rather than, okay, great, it's a bump in the road. Now let's look at some new possibilities to change the result, to make it look different. Why do we panic then as human beings? If we live in the possibility that everything is possible, then how come we're not freed up to be able to access our personal power and create a different result?
Well, I think it goes back to what we were talking before on that instant reaction. You have that instant reaction, and you have that instant reaction of this is bad, and nothing good can come out of this if it's a catastrophe like that. And there's no upside until after the fact, maybe a couple of days later or a week later. Then you say, okay, well then this happened, and brought us together, or whatever it may be. But that's exactly what I think it is. It's just that, and there's nothing wrong with that, but there's another way of looking at it.
That's right. For me, when I think of this quote, when nothing is sure, everything is possible, the part where, as a human being, if you see things like that's just the way it is, that's what I think of when you're saying that. That's you seeing it that it's sure, right? That's just the way it is. You're now putting a limitation around it. You're putting a box around whatever that is that you're looking at and deciding that that's just the way it is. Now, when you put that limitation, now there's no possibility for it to look any other way. So I think the error in thinking, especially for the millennials, is that, I work with a bunch of older people that have their mindset on it this way, and it's just the way it is. Then There's no possibility for it to look any different.
Yeah, and that's when you're in a workplace like that. But I'm looking at it from advancing into the workplace, where the way it is you go to college and then you get a job, and then you're an intern, you start the lower level. But what if it's not? And that's what a lot of millennials are doing, where they're doing these startups. They're going out of college and not even doing anything with their degree, but are making their own path, doing it this way, and saying, why can't I do this? It's the way it was for you guys, but it's not the way it is for me.
Nice, I like that. All right, here's number 6. It's by Mindy Colling. If you don't see a clear path for what you want, sometimes you have to make it yourself. If you don't see a clear path for what it is you want, sometimes you got to make it yourself.
And there it goes. I just spoke about this before you said the quote, where your path may have worked for you, great and fine, but that's not my path, or I can go my own path to get to the same result and be happy and live my life somewhere. And that's what a lot of, again, technology and startups are coming from. Like, I'm going to do my own thing. It might not be the conventional, go to college and, start up and then work your way up in company, but just maybe even start your own company.
I kind of think of this quote almost being a snapshot of some people's belief system. Our belief system is somewhat like these rules that we've made up as a human being, right, from all of our experiences in our past. So it's kind of like if you made up a rule that if I don't see a clear path for what I want, oh my God, then I guess I can't get it, right? And so here is a contradiction, or almost like an exception to the rule. If you don't see a clear path for what you want, then there's an exception. The exception is sometimes you just got to go make your own path, make it for yourself. Almost like somebody giving you permission to think outside the box and create a new belief telling you that you can create whatever it is you want. You're going to have to actually go out and plow the path. You have to knock down some of the roadblocks and clear out your own path so that you can create and live, the life of your dreams.
Yeah, and to understand this quote fully, you have to get the first one, the one that you just said about it's not, everything's not sure, I believe. So all possibilities.
When nothing
are
is sure,
When
everything is
sure.
possible.
But if you say it is sure, then you're putting that idea or in a box, and you can't grow out of it. But if you focus on that where it's not in a box, you can grow, make your own path, and that's where this quote comes in. You can make your own path just to get to the same thing.
That's right. And I think living and operating from all things are possible is where personal power lives and breathes in. And that's where it flourishes at. Stay tuned for more. You're listening to Life Coaching with Alex Urbina right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. And welcome back to Life Coaching with Alex Urbina right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. In studio today with Andrew Delgado, my board op. He's also a millennial, and I got him in the hot seat. We're talking about 10 quotes from millennials entering the workforce. And we're doing this really to inspire millennials to be leaders, open up new possibilities, and think outside the box a little bit. And so we were going over 2 quotes per the last segments. And the next 2 quotes, I want to jump in. And number 7 is going to be by John Steinbeck. And here's the quote. And now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good. And now that you don't have to be perfect, you can be good. What does that mean?
And I love this because the perfectionists and those people out there, they have these personalities where it's almost off-putting sometimes when, I have to get it perfect. I have to get it perfect. But why do you have to get it perfect? You don't. You just, have to get it perfect. By whose standard? By yours? Like, what are you trying to impress, really? And by that, you just have to get the job done. And in a way, you feel great, which also people might not feel great if it's perfect, but you don't have to be perfect because nobody is.
I love this quote because I think of, the perfectionist that is driving themselves nuts.
Yeah.
To try to win a game that you cannot win. You can't win the game of being perfect. So why play it? It doesn't make sense. So I can visualize the perfectionist living a life of going around a room that's circular, trying to find a corner. It's like driving yourself nuts because you're trying to find that corner that in a room that doesn't have any. And so there's no freedom in that. There's nothing but stress and anxiety of you trying to create something that's not possible. There is no perfection. So I kind of visualize this quote giving the millennial or even the baby boomers and, the Generation X, we can all learn from this. It gives you the possibility that you don't have to be perfect. And when you stop striving for perfection, you can now be good at what you do. Now, there's a distinction between perfection and excellence.
Right.
You can still do things in excellence, but that's different than being perfect or having perfection.
Right. You can be great, but perfection and finding that edge in the circular room, it'll just drive you mad and drive you crazy.
That's right.
And just to be perfect, but you can be great in that circular room wherever it may be.
And so a lot of millennials, I think that in their mind, especially growing up in a home where your family, your parents and the people that have high expectations for you, if you've allowed those kinds of influences to shape your perspective and your paradigm to think that you have to be perfect, then I can see you struggling in the workforce. I can see you struggling trying to fit in and trying to be perfect at what you do and really kind of just not really getting into the zone of just practicing and making those mistakes so that you can be good at something. I think that constant strive for perfection is really kind of sabotaging your growth.
Yeah, and I think that can really have, monstrous effects on you, and then just actually growing. You can stunt yourself growing without even knowing. You can say, "Oh, I'm getting everything done, and it's perfect. I do it in my own way. It's perfect. It's the best out there." But then you can't grow because then you are just tired. You've been running yourself so much, then you just shut down. I've seen that happen to a lot of people where they, strive out, and the end product is great. However, they're just shut off. They're just done, and that could, hurt yourself too.
Here's number 8. It's by an unknown author. Don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try. Don't be afraid to fail, but be afraid not to try.
And this is just for anybody, millennials, but anybody else. Try it. If you fail, so be it, but at least you won't have that regret. And regret is a big thing. Like, if you fail, fine, but at least try. Just try.
How do you tell a millennial that regret is, a poison? That how do you explain to a millennial that hasn't got to be age 60 or 70, looking back at their life, saying, "Man, I wish I would have done that. I wish I would have. I wish I would have swung for the fence. I wish I would have just played my heart out. I wish I would have went and taken all those chances." How do you explain to a young person to kind of foresee themselves in the future, looking back and having those regrets?
Oh, as a young person, I'm still having trouble with regrets, but I'm starting to get it now as I'm getting older. Because regrets, like you said, is a poison. It's a disease. It will just eat at you. Every memory that you had, like, oh, that would have been so cool if I did that, or my life would have been changed so different. Why didn't I even try? That you don't want that in your life. That just hurts you. And also in the workplace, why didn't I speak up? Why didn't I bring this idea to them? It's just hard, and I don't know how you're going to be able to teach that other than just bringing the idea of, you have to try, and basically like this show is doing. Put it to their ear, put it in their brain, plant that seed of regrets are going to hinder your
Personal
coming
growth.
up. Yeah,
absolutely. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid not to try. When I think of the first part where it says, don't be afraid to fail, I think that most individuals have a relationship with failing as a bad thing. They have the experience of failing as an embarrassment. They have all these negative connotations surrounding the experience of failing. So it's almost like the ego does not want them to try anymore because they don't want to fail. Rather than creating a new belief, a new reality that failures are stepping stones to breakthroughs, or failures are stepping stones to success. You got to create a new meaning around the word fail. You can't have it be a negative connotation because you won't try anything. It'll just kind of chop your toes off before you start walking.
right. And then that's when I think of fail in that context. I think of experience. Don't be afraid to experience things. If you change that word around and interchange that with fail,
I like it.
Then you won't have that negative connotation that
I love
fail
it.
has on.
You're starting to learn some things by board hopping the show.
Just a little bit.
If you can change the word, you can create a new distinction around the word fail and give it a new word like challenge or experience or this is just my learning lesson. You can create new words to have those words empower you rather than disempower you and have you almost immobilized. Failure can really immobilize you and kind of have you so afraid that you just stop taking chances. You stop getting up to bat. You just decide that I don't want to play anymore. You want to quit the game. And I think this is important for the parents to really get clear that our kids, whether they're 12 years old or they're 23 years old, is that fear can paralyze people, and that's probably why your 19-year-old is still sitting at home on the couch, wanting to get out there and send their resumes or get out there and take chances, but they're not because of that fear of failure. It could be paralyzing them to the point where they need some motivation. They need you, mom. They need you, dad, to say it's okay to fail. Matter of fact, I give you permission to get out there and try as many times as you can. I don't care if you fail at all of them. I'm proud of you, and I'll support you, and I'll keep giving you more permission to get out there and try new things.
Right, and I think that's great, but also, you have to push your child as well. Don't let them be okay with not trying. Kind of, be that driving force for them to get out there and try.
Come back for more. You're listening to Life Leadership with Alex Urbina right here in your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.